I am live in London as a march of several hundred people in support of Count Dankula is making its way to Downing Street. The live stream just crashed, so if you are just tuning in, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Timcast, hit that like button, support the stream, and Super Chat is available. If you give at least $5, your comment appears above everybody else. Let's get back into this event. I apologize to all of those who are watching when the stream dropped out. Yeah, you just can't really control it sometimes. But what we're seeing right now is a silent march. Silent except for the bagpipes. But you can see the tape on people's mouths with a sign that reads, "You wouldn't tell a joke." So the city, I believe, city workers are laying out cones, and the police are guiding the march as they make their way to Downing Street, where there's going to be many speeches. Keep in mind, this is a march for free speech. A man was just, after 2 years, finally convicted and sentenced for making a joke. And that was Count Dankula, Mark Meechan. Many people are worried about the precedent that will be set with convictions, and not just his, but many others that people have brought up. So, again, you can hit the like button if you're just tuning in, because that really does help. Actually, I'm assuming it helps, but hey, worth a shot, right? There is some concern that individuals prepared to speak might say something that will get them in trouble. Keeping in mind, the concern here is that someone told a joke and was charged and convicted for it. Certainly, there are going to be people who want to make speeches in defense of free speech, which they might say things that are a bit more egregious. I can't say it will happen, but I was told to be ready for the speeches they give. I assume it'll be much more tame than anyone actually imagines, but I do believe there's going to be some provocative comments made once they make it to their destination. Let's see if I can find someone to talk to as we make our way down. There are some journalists here. You can see they've got many Gadsden flags. That's the Don't Tread on Me flag. There's the Union Jack, and there are Keck flags. There are a lot of flags. We just spoke with Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, about the Keck flag, and he said it was a mockery of authoritarianism. That it's meant to, well, mock authoritarianism, but it's meant as a joke. It's ironic. And the discussion we were having was in the context of many news organizations saying this is Nazi imagery. So I guess there's two competing arguments. The community that actually uses the symbol telling us what it means, saying it's a joke, and the journalists saying they know better and it's actually a dog whistle. In my opinion, whether you value it or not, I tend to side with the statements of the individuals about their beliefs over what someone thinks they believe. So I would actually say, in my opinion, it is very unlikely that they actually use these Kyrgyzstan flags as a way to signal to white supremacists. I'm pretty sure white supremacists just use actual white supremacy symbols. There's no reason to dog whistle. But it's an important distinction, because there are multiple factions involved in these kinds of protests, and left media tends to say, in most instances I've seen, that it is a Nazi flag. Not that it is a mockery of one, but that it is. You can see the associations with Pepe the Frog. All of it is stating that the individuals using the symbols are, like Hillary Clinton's website said that Pepe was a white, nationalist symbol or something like that. So I think you guys all get it. So this is the protest happening in London. There's another protest in Scotland, and there's a lot of concern from people about one thing I stated earlier that I want to point out is that in terms of the sentencing that Dankula could have received, I personally feel this might be the worst. Obviously, him going to prison would be shocking to many people and be very, very bad for Dankula. However, when you get a conviction for speech, for a joke, and it's light, the sentencing is light, you're going to have people arguing that it was no big deal. They're going to, when you come to them and say, isn't it bad that the state has been prosecuting people, they're going to respond, oh, but he only got a fine, it's no big deal. One of the discussions, part of the discussion I had with Sargon last night was that you should expect any law that is enforced to eventually be enforced to its extreme. And if precedent is set that jokes aren't allowed, I would say it's fairly likely that in the future it will be to a much more extreme degree, and the punishment will get much worse. If they imprisoned Dankula, you would have had a lot more people saying it's outrageous to convict someone of speech and you can't do this. But with a fine, many people are going to argue, oh, but it's just a fine, it's no big deal. Dankula's more than made up the income with the growth of his subscriber base. So while there is some personal benefit to the whole ordeal that Dankula's gone through, and that his audience has grown larger, and essentially the Scottish government helped expand his voice, it's scary to think that you could have a situation where the trial is the punishment, where precedent is set that people aren't allowed to say certain things. Also, keep in mind, I'm an American, so I have like an American perspective on speech. The First Amendment is pretty awesome, and I'm glad we have it. They don't have the same thing here, though they do have, to an extent, speech rights. Many people are saying this is the erosion. Hopefully the YouTube app doesn't crash on me again, because that's a huge bummer. Also, for those that are watching, Super Chat is available. I can read your Super Chat comments periodically. I try to be careful, as it's hard to read comments when we're like walking down the street and all that. And trying to film with my second camera. But I'm going to pop over to the Super Chat now and grab the comments from people who I may have missed. Things got a little quiet. Someone said, if the rumors of the prices in London is correct, then here's some cash for coffee. Yeah, the prices here are high, to say the least. Someone wants me to go stroke Sargon's beard. I will not do that. There will be no stroking of any beards other than my own. And only if I'm in deep contemplation.
As if the irony isn't lost on them, they're going to pick the free speech rally in that cage.
Right here.
Yeah.
In the US, we call these freedom cages. Well, I don't, but I'm going to come in here so I can film the speakers.
I think you want us to go into here.
Yeah, this is the freedom cage, we call it.
This is Freedom's cage.
Yeah, that's the joke we have in the US when they set up cages for free speech events.
Yeah, they put rallies here all the time. It's like just a no protest spot.
Is this where you guys are going to be doing the speeches?
Yes, this is where we're going to be doing the speeches. So.
I just want to make sure I'm in the right spot to film. Uh-oh. What? Did someone just get arrested? What just happened? Somebody get arrested? No, I don't know what's happening. Oh, they're staging. See, no, nothing happened. Nothing happened. But you have them holding up the banner here. So I want to make sure that I can get close enough to where they're going to be doing the speaking. So people are saying that they enjoy seeing this is from Pluto on Super Chat, enjoying seeing an American Revolution flag displayed on the streets of London. So it looks like they're getting ready for presentations.
Jesus, making all these red pills must be expensive.
Hey?
Making all these red pills
Hey,
must be expensive.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Outsourced to China.
Ben Cooper asks on Super Chat, have I seen any counter-protesters? I haven't. I've seen people that I thought might be scouting for counter-protests, but I don't think there has been any official organized protest against this yet. Yet, I say, because people do expect it, but there's no reason to believe that it will actually happen, at least as far as I know. Other people might know better.
Yeah, the sound of free speech is beautiful. I absolutely agree.
So it turns out that there are a lot of people who are offended.
Some people are going to abuse their rights.
There are people who are offended that free speech is taken away from them. Offended that the values
at the designated protest area, and then that kind of attracts the public.
So you guys are going to go inside?
Yeah, we got to do that. Yeah, that's
The free speech zone.
yeah. The free speech cage.
Yeah, freedom cages.
Freedom cages.
It's a very biased
Speaker's
joke,
cage.
but
Speaker's cage.
Speaker's cage.
That's fine. You look swell.
let's follow these speakers. And I believe the police said people can stand outside of the free speech area while they speak, that they don't have to necessarily go inside. It would make it easier for them to present to the crowd, but I want to make sure if we actually get to hear the speakers here. Someone, Super Chat, Josiah Magnuson, not sure if you read my last Super Chat, but Dank was also refused a jury trial and was refused legal representation for his trial. Yes, it was a bench trial with a judge, I was told.
Hear about the
Very bad connection. There we go, that's better.
Okay. And then they'll spill out on either side.
That's not unreasonable.
The focal points then face you.
So, oh, I see. That's very interesting. So they'll have the group go inside? Is that what?
Yeah, the crowd will stand in the cage and the speakers will be out here.
The
Ladies
cage?
and gentlemen, can I have your attention,
Crowd is
please?
getting caged.
Under the instructions of the police here, we should move the crowd inside here so to not block any more traffic. The speakers are going to be here. Can the speakers come to where I am at the moment? And all the crowd try to fill out inside the cage as much as possible. The cage of freedom, guys, come on.
Uh-oh. My joke. It's not my joke, it's actually, I heard it from Luke Rutkowski.
Organic.
Since back in the Occupy days, whenever the police set up these caged off areas, we call them freedom cages.
Can the scheduled speakers come to where I am, please?
If we can just try and move down into the protest area a little.
Sorry, if we can try and use the designated protest area as best as we can, then we're not blocking the pavement and causing problems for anyone. Thank you.
Do you have a free speech license?
Oh, mate, where's your license?
Where's your butter knife?
We couldn't even get scissors, remember? No scissors. It's more space here. More people come down this way, please, and come in through this side, please. Yeah, so still a bit more space here. Can more people come over here and fill up this section here, please?
I'm filming with a Galaxy S9 with an LTE connection, for those wondering.
I've got an SA, so that's much better.
It's because the quality is really bad, so people think I'm using a potato. It's essential.
Right, we need to clear that entrance, basically, so we need to move over on this side, guys. Yeah. So that we have a pathway for the pedestrians to go past, so we need to fill out the two sides here, please.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Right, spread over. There's loads of space this way, guys. Please move down a bit more, please. Thank you. This is coming out of my own pocket, guys. Right, can all the speakers, scheduled speakers, come to where I am, please?
Sargon, we use Sargon.
Yeah.
Sargon and...
Speaking first, yeah?
Yeah. Did someone pick up my bag? Yes, Sam's got it. Sam's right there. Have you got his bag?
I wonder if there's a better way, way to get a better connection. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna try something. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm gonna try and move away from the crowd and go up, sit up here because maybe I'll be able to get a better connection. It might be harder to hear, but it might be better to see, so there's a balance. I actually don't know if that's going to be the case, but I kept getting warnings the stream was going to shut down if I stayed over there, so it's better to get away from the congestion than to sit and lose the stream altogether, unfortunately. But I can't hear anything, so I'm going to try and get closer again. There we go.
Right, first thing you speak for us is a Ben Brand. He's hot limit.
Speak into the megaphone. Thank you, John. Oh, man.
My name is Ben Brown and I am responsible for university operations at Liverpool, UK. I'm here because I believe what has happened to Dankula is merely a symptom of a 6-foot life, one that enables the correcting, control, crippling, confidence, suppression of those who discuss and promote controversial ideas, to protect the feelings of those who are incapable of coexisting with people they disagree with. Section 127 of the Communications Act 2003 defines someone as guilty if they send by means of public electronic communications network or message or other matter that is grossly offensive or of an indecent, obscene or menacing character, but fails to define what is grossly offensive. And by the ambiguity of this term, it means that any one of us could face charges based on this poorly thought out legislation. Furthermore, the Metropolitan Police define hate crime as any criminal offence perceived by the victim or any other person to be motivated by hostility, prejudice and so forth, as perceived by the victim. This is a horrendous state of affairs, one that gives more power to alleged victims and ensures that, providing the victim can point out a protective characteristic pertaining to them as individuals, the hand of justice will come down on the accused in a far firmer fashion, because they are used only to make the allegation of a hate crime for the Met to be satisfied. Blind justice is one of the principles we liberalists hold dear. We also value the freedom of speech. I grew up watching the likes of Mel Brooks, Monty Python, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Frankie Boyle and Charlie Chaplin. And I was taught that the very essence of comedy is satire, mockery and exaggeration, those being the best tools for critiquing ideas and understanding the limitations of problems those ideas may present if taken to the extreme. I was taught that to understand whether you live in a society that is supportive of free speech and promotes liberty, the limits of these ideas need to be tested. Well, now we all know. We know that our government is willing to sit by as people are sentenced for making jokes that may hurt the feelings of others, even if the person responsible is neither advocating for nor carrying out any acts that would result in physical danger towards those they mock or criticise. They'll even sit by when a girl is convicted for posting song lyrics on Instagram in tribute to a young dead man. Our letter-writing campaign has revealed that many members of Parliament do not take our concerns seriously. Many of them have used weasel words and in their laziness neglected to research the case of Mark Meacham properly. We need to make it clear to those members of Parliament who do not understand meme culture, the internet, offensive humour and the true definition of free speech. We need to tell them, you do not represent us! You are obsolete! And you will face further pressure from those who want their liberties back! Thank you all for listening to me waffle on. Thank you for attending this event to free speech and the liberalist movement. In closing, I have a request. If anyone, either attending this event or watching online, experiences the power of these authoritarians in their place of work or in their private art lives, make sure you come forward. We must support each other and form a strong community that will rally around those who cry out when they meet the gnashing fangs of this beast. It's not my turn anymore, but please, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Now where is Carl Benjamin? He is next.
Anyone seen him?
I see you pointing. Clear the way, clear the way.
Clear the way, please.
I don't know, fascism or something.
Stand on the other step.
One more step. Higher, higher.
Can you hear me? Fucking hell, we've become the kind of assholes who stand out protesting with megaphones. Look at this. Mega free speech.
That was a major one, though. What do you have now?
I know, right? And the thing is, I've got a speech that's pretty fucking serious as well, unfortunately.
Oh, fuck you.
No, I agree. Fuck me, honestly. Exactly. I'm now going to have to get out here and give you a fucking serious little talk because we're actually, we're all standing here, we're having a laugh. But this isn't fucking funny, is it?
No! It's no joke.
This should not be happening. Why the fuck are we criminalising a comedian?
Louder! Feelings!
Channel the inner fash.
Right, okay, how's that? Is that better? Yeah! Right, okay. Right. Fucking hell.
Stop appropriating police culture!
Now I'm fucking nervous because I've never given a fucking important speech in front of so many goddamn people who are all staring at me. So go easy. Right. So there's a question on everyone's lips. This question is so controversial that just asking it is to brand yourself. Is to brand it. Is this fucking megaphone, mate?
The megaphones are coming! It's trying to silence you!
Please start at the beginning and
Put the microphone on the megaphone. Right. That's a bit better, isn't it? Yeah. Right, okay. We'll start this again. I'll do it in my time as well, so you gotta wait. Right. So there is a question on everyone's lips. This question is so controversial that just asking it is to brand yourself an outsider, a dissident, and a rogue. The question is about one of the most controversial speeches ever given in this country. It's a question with implications so grave that some consider it a monstrous thing even to think about. The question The question is, was Enoch Powell right?
Yes.
The short answer
Yes.
is how many stabbings make a river? Yeah. Well, you've got to answer it. But the long answer is the answer to one politically incorrect line that Powell was quoting from one of his constituents. In this country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man. I notice you've all gone fucking silent after I said that. Fucking told you. As we have seen, to the eternal disgrace of the government's handling of the Windrush scandal, this has not happened. But something similar has. Our black Commonwealth cousins who came here 50 years previously have integrated very well, because they have come here to be British. Powell's constituent was right to worry, but as the events have shown in the recent furor of police indifference to a British lady called Denia English, even being black is no defence. The British government did not place the whip into the hand of the black man. It placed it into the hand of anyone who proudly declared themselves to be anything but British. Our institutions are obsequious to any identity that stands apart from our own, so that when Denia received death threats for criticising Islam, the police told her this could be avoided by keeping her mouth shut. And like any British person should, instead of being cowed in the face of tyranny, Denia stood up to be counted among the ranks of those of us who can endure this no more. All of this is a question of identity and values, because the former is defined by the latter. The British identity is grounded in our ancient traditions of liberty and tolerance, and all other identities that we exist in this country must also be so. We did not need black people or Muslims to have ethnic tensions in this country. This country is built on ethnic tensions 1,000 years old. Between the English, the Irish, the Scots and the Welsh, and all the subdivisions thereof.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're not bringing anything new here when you come over going, oh, well, I was something different. Yeah, we know. These tensions synthesized themselves into a British creed that all identities, all beliefs are permissible, and it is the harm that is punishable. And that harm can only be done by action and not by words. These identities and values matter. It was the identity of Muslim that allowed the men who formed grooming gangs to enact religiously sanctioned campaign of assaults against children targeted for their ethnic characteristics. White and Sikh girls were targeted because they fell outside of the Muslim identity and therefore warranted no moral consideration. What the men convicted of these crimes did falls directly in line with our definition of a hate crime, and yet they were not charged as such. It is one rule for one and another rule for another.
No rules for some.
This is not an acceptable state of affairs in a liberal democracy. All citizens should be treated without distinction by the state. In order to fulfill Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of a world where people are judged by the content of their character. To do anything else is to encourage the proliferation of nefarious elements in society. People who earn their stations in life through a means other than hard work and decency. It confers on a certain group a set of privileges not enjoyed by the rest. This will breed resentment of the kind that eventually brings out guillotines. Hate speech laws are incubating something very dark and very angry in this country. Tommy Robinson is not a racist, he is a warning. Every time I meet Tommy Robinson and we walk around the streets, you see the same thing. Rough, working class men spy him, they look around, and when they think they're in the clear, they go up to him and shake his hand and say thank you for everything you are doing, and then walk away like nothing happened. This happens multiple times when I see him. This is a problem. This is what happens when people are treated like second-class citizens. These people are not racists, but they are reacting to the perceived source of their oppression. It is not that the government has criminalized racism through the combined zealotry of the political class, but not just that, in fact, that they have they have criminalized legitimate criticism of an ideology that is not liberal, not tolerant, and places itself in direct opposition to the identity of the British. But they have gone even further than this, and they have now criminalized humour. Ron Little made a joke about the Welsh in the Sunday Times, about how a bridge across the Severn connects Wales to the First World. A very good joke. This aroused the ire of the North Wales Crime Commissioner and numerous other Plaid Cymru idiots with cries of hate speech. The politically correct inquisition against Ron Little shows us that we can no longer even have banter between the constituent ethnicities of the British Isles. And if we let this continue, the United Kingdom is lost. Ethnic jokes serve one purpose: to diffuse ethnic tensions by normalizing the differences between ethnicities. If we are not free to offend one another, we are not free to make the kind of ethnic jokes that strengthen the social fabric of this country. Without the freedom to offend, we create a series of armed camps, each watching the others for any signs of transgression, both obsessed with defending the honor of their respective tribe. This can only divide a country by setting us apart from one another and making us strangers to our neighbors. We need the banter to keep ourselves grounded and maintain this United Kingdom.
Yes.
And unless we scrap all laws prohibiting insult and Free Count Dankula, thank you. How do I follow that then?
Strip!
Ladies and gentlemen, wherever Puritans have been sufficiently powerful, they have endeavoured to patrol all forms of civic amusement. There exists in this country a glowing class of tyrants who, like all authoritarians, hate the sound of laughter because they cannot control it. We may well have come from different backgrounds and contrasting belief systems, but our message here today is the same. There endures among us a shared confidence and esteem in free expression as the value essential to a free and flourishing society.